Well, it's always good to be out here on a Thursday night as we come to you from Carelli's of Boulder. A great spot to swing on by before or after a CU basketball game or any time for that matter. We're out here Thursdays from 7 until 8 o'clock for Bucks Primetime with head coach Tad Boyle. We've got JR Payne, our player guest tonight. Sebastian Rancik, the freshman from Slovakia, is going to join. We're going to ask him to do the entire interview speaking his native tongue tonight. That ought to be entertaining.
He could do it.
I bet he could.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Do you ever hear him in practice? Is he?
I hear him, well, not necessarily practice, but I hear him, on his phone with family back home, and he's talking. He's talking his language. So.
If he starts doing that to you, he's probably complaining about something.
He's cursing me out. There's no doubt
no doubt about it.
Yeah, we got a lot of, we got Andre Akimovsky, obviously, Hassan Job,
Yeah.
and Sebi. They all speak their languages, and it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. All wonderful young men. So we'll talk with Sebastian, highly talented player.
Yes, he is.
That we're going to talk to. Bucks are coming off a loss versus Arizona State the other night as they dropped the contest 70-68. That was kind of a tough one for you to swallow every time.
Yeah, it was a stinger, Mark. That was a winnable game, and we've had about 4 of those now.
Yes.
Talked to our team today about that, but we're just not doing what we need to do consistently when we need to do it to get over the hump. So there's a reason. There's a reason teams win. There's a reason teams lose.
Yep. And
we're finding ways to lose. We got to find ways to win. And the way you do that is you knuckle down and you get stops when you had to. The minute 40 to go, they had the ball. We get a stop and a score. We win the game. And we had chances to win it offensively at the end too. To make some shots. I watching that tape. I go back the last 5 minutes. There's a lot of times you watch the last 5 minutes of the game. You're like, if I had to do that over again, I might not, or I would have played that. Like, I wouldn't have changed one thing the last 5 minutes of the game on offense, other than the fact that on defense we needed to get stops, and because you have to stop the other team from scoring if you want to have a chance to win, and we don't have that mentality yet.
You made the comment, I think, on our post-game conversation. You said, Mark, we scored 68 points.
Yes.
In a college basketball game, that's enough to win.
Especially in conference play.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And so this team, it really boils down. We talk about turnovers, although that was not a huge issue in the ballgame. You only got 12. You had a plus 16 in points off turnovers in that game. It really comes down to simply the foundational things that you've talked about and tried to establish within your program all the 15 years about this team getting better at, correct?
No question about it. No question about it. And in the first half, I showed the team today. There was a graphic on TV, and the commentators were mentioning it, actually. We were down 21-12, and we were shooting 47% from the field, which is great.
Nice
if we shoot
percentage.
47% from the field, you're a top 3 team in the league.
Yep.
And but we're down 9 because we had turned the ball over 7 times. Turnovers weren't an issue when you look at them in totality,
right?
But they were certainly an issue in the first half.
Yes, they were.
And that's the consistency that I'm talking about. Like, we just have stretches, whether it's offensively, we're just not very good. We have stretches defensively where we can't get stops, and we have to be a more consistent team. And, it's interesting how the game started. We started on defense. We didn't get the tip. BD usually gets the tips, more often than not, but we didn't get it. We get a stop. We get the shot we want. They get an offensive rebound. We have 2 guys on our team that could have gotten it. Their guy gets it. They take a 3. They miss it. We have 3 guys on our team that could have had that rebound.
Didn't get it.
Their one guy did get it. And then they whap a 3. We're down 3-zip. We take the ball out of bounds. They're pressing, and we throw it, in the first row.
Yeah.
So, here you are, the first defensive possession of the game and the first offensive possession of the game, and it's a microcosm of where our team is and the things that are killing us, which is taking care of the basketball and when we get stops, not finishing the possession with a rebound. And those 2 possessions didn't cost us the game, but maybe they did cost us a game because we're down 3-zip.
Yeah.
And we lose by 2.
It does set a tone.
It sets a tone,
right,
and it's just. I can't imagine being a fan.
Yeah.
I told you after the game, I got no hair to pull out. But
so be honest with it. So you give up 2 rebounds. Whap, there goes the 3. Turn the ball over. The internal conversation for Tad Boyle is what? Clean it up.
We're on the we're on
yeah.
the air. I gotta hold my.
I'm going to go home
back.
and crack a cold one at this point in time and let Mike Rome coach
I
us.
wasn't thinking about that. I actually did think midway through I'm gonna maybe getting tossed might be a good thing tonight. I swear to goodness I did, but you don't want to cost your team the game. But
right.
You just think, well, at some point these guys will figure it out. I mean, it's. I've really tried to stay positive,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, you get so philosophical. You go home, you watch the film, and you try to process things. And then I just come back to, I've got a job to do. The players have a job to do. The assistant coaches have a job to do. I've just got to do my job to the best of my ability, and keep giving these guys what I feel like they need to get better. And that's what I did. We had a practice today. It was a good practice. We've got 3 days, which is very unusual. I was planning on taking Wednesday and Thursday off.
Okay.
And I told our guys that. I said, I just can't, in good conscience as your coach, give you 2 days off after that performance. I mean, we did need a 1 day off just mental as much as anything. And we don't have any guys playing real heavy minutes, so we needed to get in the gym and get some work done. But today we did strictly defense and rebounding. Like, just go. Let's get back to basics. Let's set the tone and understand what our jobs are and the standards. Watch some film. Tomorrow we'll do mostly offense and really try to fine tune and get better in that area. And then Saturday have a day of game prep. Get ready for TCU and then play Sunday. So every day is a chance to get better. We got to continue to do that and we're showing improvement at times, but we're just not consistent enough.
We get into these kind of stretches in sports, and I think the tendency is, like you said, you keep going back to the basics. Mm-hmm. But a lot of what we're dealing with here, I would think, is there's a lot of psychology to what you're dealing with, how you approach teams.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I think I always say this: coaching's like parenting. The difference between a pat on the back and a kick in the rear is
about 6 inches.
About 6 inches.
Yep.
And you got to know when to do both, and when one is needed, when the other is needed. As a coach, my tendency is the
kicking the tail.
Kicking the tail.
Right. Right.
But with this team, their guy, we watch some positive things like, hey, and I talked to our team today. I mean, this is the same group. We didn't lose 3 guys, since November. We didn't add anybody. The same group of guys that beat UConn in Maui. Yeah. If I said if you can beat UConn in Maui, guess what?
Right.
we can beat TCU in Fort Worth.
Right.
But we have to do that. We have to be the ones that are pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps. And the tendency for kids and for even adults is when things aren't going good and it's woe is me. It's like, I'm concerned about myself and I'm not playing enough, or he's playing this guy instead of that guy, and or whatever it is. But we get, and I said, we've got to play for each other, play for ourselves, or not play for ourselves, play for each other.
Yes.
And I mentioned today, Julian Hammond, Javon Ruffin, Andre Akamovsky, Trevor Baskin. Elijah Malone gets another year because of the new ruling, but those 4 guys, this is it for them.
Yeah.
And I asked Sebastian, who will be here tonight. I said, Sebastian, do you like those guys? He goes, yeah, I like them. I said, well, why don't you play harder for them?
Yeah, exactly.
BD, do you like those guys? Yeah, I like them. Well, play harder for them. Play for those guys. And then you 4 guys, you should be pulling the nails out of the floor because this your last
right.
hurrah. So
it's
we have to play with, and not I'm afraid to make a mistake and I'm worried about this. There's no pressure on these guys. There's zero pressure. It really is. I'm not putting pressure on them.
You and I talked in the pregame, I think it was this last ball game, about team ownership, player ownership.
Yeah, player ownership.
Are you seeing that? Are you seeing guys step up? How do you try and promote that? I mean, those kind of things.
I see it on film.
Okay.
Or I don't see it on film.
Right.
And when I watch the film, I see effort, I see execution, or I see lack of effort, lack of execution. I see guys boxing out or not boxing out. I see them going to the offensive glass or not going to the offensive glass. So it's not like I see guys that are insubordinate or have a bad attitude. I don't see that, but I don't see a sense of urgency.
Okay.
And I see the same mistakes being made against Arizona State that we made against Arizona, the same ones against Arizona that we had against, Oklahoma State or whoever. I don't see that sense of urgency and that improvement, and until we do, are the results not going to change, and we're going to continue to be that up and down, good at times for stretches and not good at times for stretches.
Because I think over the course of your time here, Nate Tomlinson was a guy that really, right? I mean, he played, McKinley Wright was a guy. Josh Scott was a guy. Evan Batty had that quality, even though he might have approached it differently. Those were guys that would kind of grab guys by the collar.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you got to rattle some cages.
Yes.
It's time to rattle some cages as a teammate, Now, one of the problems is probably outside of Julian Hammond, I'm not sure we have anybody that could, do that in good conscience because they're not playing, and so, but that gets back to it's about me. It's not about him or him. And it's like if you play this game with reckless abandon and with unbelievable effort and toughness, and because that's what it is. That's all rebounding and defense is. It's about being in the right position and playing with an edge. And we got the good news, Mark. You and I have talked about this off the air. The good news is we got a lot of great kids.
Yes.
The bad news is we got a lot of great kids. And we don't have anybody with a little bit of edge that we've had that's going to rattle some cages in that locker room and say some uncomfortable things that need to be said for, like, I'll say them. Like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to be be the most liked coach. I'm here to be real and be honest with them. So they're going to hear it from me, and they have. But, sometimes you can't just keep beating a dead horse. And you got to appeal to their sense of, hey, what do you see? What do you want the same results? If you want the same results, keep doing the same things.
Well, you made the comparison about being a parent at times, right? We all know your kids tune you out, right? As a coach,
tune you out.
They tune you out at some point
What'd
in time.
you say?
Well, exactly right. which is why you get those guys that like a group I just mentioned, where they get everyone's attention. It's a player dominated or run team or ownership.
Absolutely. This is your team. It's your program, and we should have that because we've I don't expect it necessarily from Trevor or from Andre because this is our first year, but certainly from Julian and Javon who've been in this program,
they've been around,
understand it,
Yep.
and but hey, you got the pain of discipline, which is short-lived, or the pain of regret.
That's right.
But I talked to our team, Mark, and I really believe this. Central Florida, winnable game?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
West Virginia, winnable game? Yep. Absolutely. Yep. Had them, one or two possessions down the stretch come up short. Cincinnati, winnable game?
Yep.
Absolutely. Arizona State at home, winnable game? Absolutely. We're 4-5.
Right.
And we're right in the hunt. We're
right in the middle of it. Yeah.
And but we're not. We're 0-9, but we can't be woe is me. It's not like forget that.
Because nobody feels bad for you in the league, right?
You know what today's thought for the day was?
What's that?
There are millions of people around the world who don't give a bleep about Colorado basketball. So understand that really nobody cares. To your point, and get over yourself and let's turn this thing around.
I once heard it said that there's no reason to complain because 10% of the people don't care and the other 90% are actually kind of glad you're having a tough time, right? and so I know that's a little cynical, but there is something real about that. Hey, we're here at Carelli's of Boulder's Bus Primetime. JR Payne, boy, they got a nice win last night. They got a gutsy win on the road in Provo, Utah. We'll talk to JR here shortly. Sebastian Rancik is going to join us a few more minutes with Tad Boyle after a quick timeout. This is Colorado basketball from their field. University of Colorado basketball is brought to us by Molson Coors. Coors Light, choose chill, proud partner of Colorado Athletics. We are here at Carelli's of Boulder. Thursday nights we're out here from 7 until 8 o'clock for Buffs Primetime. Come on out and join us. Have some great Italian food, some Buffs talk, or you can also dial us up on the Colorado Basketball Network. We're streaming live on the Facebook page right now as well. Buffs getting set for a trip to Fort Worth, Texas for a 2 o'clock game on Sunday afternoon this week. We'll hit the air at 1:30 on the network. I want to ask you, we haven't taled much about it here on the program, about the addition to your staff of Danny Manning, your former teammate at Kansas, and tell us what he brings. I mean, he's got a vast amount of experience, obviously, and what's he brought to your staff?
Yeah, he brings experience, and I of course, I remember Danny as a player.
Yeah, and one of the best college players of all time.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
God,
and he was unselfish. He was skilled. He was tough. He was, and I only played with him for 1 year. I always tell a story about the time I think we were playing Iowa State, and I think we combined one night for 44 points.
Did you really?
Yeah.
nice game for.
How
many did you have?
He had 40, and I had 4. And but he was a hell of a player. And our guys, when he came on board, I'm not sure how many knew him. We went through the recruiting process in the fall, and parents. Oh, Danny Manning.
Yes.
Kids had no idea. Now they would go Google him or whatever, and find out how good he was. But he brings 15 years of experience in the NBA, so that brings credibility. Number 1 draft pick credibility, national champion credibility. But he's also been a head coach, at Tulsa, assistant coach at Kansas, head coach at Wake Forest, and interim at Maryland. So he's got a vast amount of experience. And Danny's a very mild-mannered, soft-spoken.
Yes.
But when he talks, he's very succinct. He's very short in his delivery. But he's very spot on. And so he's got great insight for our guys. I try to let our coaches coach. If you've been to our practices, as you know, Mark, in the first probably, 20, 30 minutes of practice as we're getting loose and working on skill work, I let our coaches kind of do their thing and delegate. And Danny's really good. He's really good with those guys. In our film sessions or in our meetings, the message he gives is spot on, and I think our guys listen to him for sure because he's been there and he's done that. Yeah. And he gets a little frustrated, I know, at times, as we all do. But it was great. Arizona and even Arizona State a little bit. He has a little different mentality, and you can tell he played in the NBA for 15 years. Like, hey, if you're going to foul a guy, foul him.
Yes.
Get your money's worth. Against Arizona State, for example, they got 3 or 4 traditional and 1 3-point plays. That should not happen. Especially with the scouting report with their center, Phillips, who's a 59% free throw shooter. The whole game plan was, okay, he's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He gets it around the rim, no layups, no dunks.
Yes.
He got 3 dunks.
Well, you got to understand something. I work with a guy that played that position who wasn't the greatest athlete in the world, so his best defense was making sure you didn't get to the basket.
Absolutely.
And it drives Scotty nuts when that happens.
Yeah, that's right. It drives me nuts. Yeah. And it really drives Danny nuts because, I was a 6'4" guard. But those guys, you don't get anything easy at the rim.
There's nothing free.
Nothing free. Yeah. And again, it gets back to that mentality. And we just don't have the mentality defensively to say, hey, Mark, you're not getting go earn it to the free throw line.
Yeah.
So because we fouled anyway. We got the foul,
Right.
But don't give them the basket and a free throw. You get 2 points at the free throw line if you make them, but you go, if you're 59%, you're basically, you miss one, make one. 3-point play versus a 1-point play. So Danny really brings a lot to the table. And we're glad to have him.
Yeah, it's good to have him. He's wonderful to be. And for anybody that grew up in that era, Danny Manning was. I mean, that team he led to the championship was not the greatest, most talented Kansas team.
No, that's why they called him Danny and the Miracle.
He lifted everybody in that thing, so he was a phenomenal player.
And Mark, I always say this: good players make themselves better. We all know good players, and we've seen good players. We've had good players. We have good players. Great players. Make their teammates better.
Everybody better.
And that's what Danny did. Danny made his teammates better. Yeah. And it was funny, when we played at Oklahoma State, one of the TV guys that was doing the game said, hey, I brought this stat sheet from the last time Danny and I was a senior. It was 85 when we played Oklahoma State in Stillwater. Yeah. And Danny Manning was 15 for 16 from the field.
Holy cow.
Tad Boyle was 3 for 9.
3 for 9. All right.
And I told Dan, I said, I can't believe you got 16 shots and I only got 9.
I think Coach probably would have disagreed with that.
Yeah,
assessment.
Coach would have. Coach said, that's 9 too many.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah.
We should have got Danny 25. So.
That's good stuff. All right, TCU this weekend. Tell us a little bit about the Horned Frogs.
Well, look, Jamie Dixon's been there a long time. He's a very good coach. He coached the Pittsburgh team that spanked us in the NCAA tournament a few years back, many years back. But tough-minded, defensive-oriented, grind it out. You're gonna have to earn. We're gonna have to earn every basket we get because they're going to be physical. They've got good guards that can score the ball. They've got bigs that are big and strong and can score around the rim. So
a little bit younger team.
Little younger than most of the teams we've played, for sure. They've got a couple young sophomore, freshmen that are playing, coming off the bench, one that starts. But still, they beat Baylor at Baylor. Like they're in every game. They're not getting blown out. They're like us. We've been basically in every game, outside of the Arizona State game in Tempe where we got blown out. Even the Arizona game, I thought we competed for the first 30 minutes. I mean, but TCU, you're going to have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. And that's one of the things I've talked to our team about too. Like, if we get beat, you get beat, but let's not beat ourselves. Yeah. But TCU will not beat themselves.
Before we let you go, Sebastian's coming up here in a minute.
Yeah.
Give us a quick comment about him.
Oh, man, he's going to be a great player.
Talented
He's
guy.
really, really coming on.
Yeah.
Got his first start, the other night, and I thought did a lot of good things with it. I've told Sebi, we call him Sebi for short, but I told him, I said before the season, I said, most times with freshmen, I don't coach them real hard. Like whatever you can get from them, you get, and you build on the positives, and you knew they're going to be up and down and up and down. I said, but Sebi, I'm going to coach. I'm going to do a little different with you, and I'm going to. And he's a guy who likes that. He wants coaching. He wants to be great, and that's to me what's going to make him great. Is he's got size, he's got skill, but he's also got some toughness to him, and he wants to be great. And he's a guy that I think in him, we were talking about nice guys. He's got a little bit of
a little junkyard dog in him.
A little bit, yeah. Now it doesn't always come out. He doesn't know, but it's there.
Yeah.
And he's got to play with it like for 40 minutes or for however many minutes he's in the game, and he's still learning that. Yeah. But your freshman year is about learning. It's about understanding what you have to get better at, and he knows. I've really challenged him to become a better rebounder, and that's something he's 6'10". Don't play like you're 5'10". Play like you're 6'10". But his aggressiveness on offense, his ability to shoot the ball, he made a really good play late in that game at Arizona State. Got fouled, wasn't called, finished in the lane, with contact. I mean, that's a pretty impressive play for a freshman. Tied the game up. It was a big time basket at a big time. So, had a great look at the end. Didn't go in. I could care less about that.
Yeah.
When Sebi's open, I want him to shoot it. But he's not going to be a good player at Colorado. He's going to be a great player at Colorado. I really believe that, and it's just the beginning for him.
We look forward to chatting with him here momentarily. Coach, good luck on Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Tad Boyle and the Bucs will take on TCU down at Fort Worth at 2 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We're here at Carelli's. The aforementioned Sebastian Rancik and JR Payne are going to join us here shortly. This is Colorado basketball from their field. A big play right there by the freshman for the Buffaloes in a game against Arizona State. Colorado basketball is brought to us by Modelo, a reward for those with a fighting spirit. Modelo brewed for full-time bus fans. Back here at Carelli's, the aforementioned Sebastian Rancik joining us here tonight, our student athlete section. How you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming out tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, how's your first season been? I know the wins aren't where you want them right now, but how about the whole experience so far?
It's been great. It's been truly a blessing. Obviously, as every freshman season has been up and down, have had some good moments, some rough stretches, but it was important to not get too high, not get too low, and just stay level-headed and keep going, keep listening, and know that you're going to turn the corner eventually.
You know, when you hear Tad talk about you, and he says, highly skilled guy, not going to be a good player, going to be a great player here at the University of Colorado, likes to be coached hard. Is that true, by the way? Do you like to be coached hard?
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to learn, and I came here because Coach Boyle is an unbelievable coach, and I want to play for him. And so, yeah, I love it when he coaches me hard. I want to learn from him and be the best player I can be.
All right, you said you got a little toughness inside you, right? You like to compete. You like to go out there and mix it up.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun, and I want to win. And yeah.
Tell us about your background, Slovakia. Tell us about growing up in Slovakia and your family and all that.
Well, actually, I was born in Athens.
Oh, you were? Okay.
In Greece.
Okay.
And then I spent my first 7 years in Spain.
Okay.
Me and my family, my dad was a professional basketball player, so we traveled with him depending on where he played. And then once I was 7, we moved back home. So it's been great. I mean, growing up in Europe, it's awesome. I've gotten to experience a lot of cultures, meet a lot of people, learn a couple languages.
Yeah. What would you say is your native tongue? What's
Slovakian?
It
sure.
is Slovakian.
Yeah, my both parents are from
Okay.
Slovakia, and that's where my whole family is, and that's where I spend my most important years.
Okay. Say something in I don't know. My family's back in Slovakia, and I love them. Just to.
Moja rodina je naspäť na Slovensku a veľmi ich ľúbim.
Awesome. Very cool. So how many different languages? So what else besides Slovakian? What else?
Well, English.
Yeah.
I can speak well in Spanish, and my mom doesn't say for us Slovakians, Czech is pretty easy.
Okay.
But she says it doesn't count. But I say it does.
So when did you start speaking English? You speak fantastic. I mean, if somebody heard you, well, I don't hear an accent. You sound like you grew up in California, for goodness sakes.
Well, since I was a child, I mean, when I was at home, my mom would always talk to me in Slovakian, and my dad would talk to me in English. So just kind of as I was raised.
Okay.
So
where was your dad born?
in Slovakia.
In Slovakia.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right. But he learned English as well as a basketball player.
Yeah, when he played at Iowa State.
Okay. All right. And how many years did he spend in the United States?
If I remember correctly, it was 2 years of high school and then 4 years at Iowa State.
Okay. How big is he? Are you as tall as he is?
I'm taller.
Are you really? Okay.
Yeah.
You're what? Are you legitimate 6'10"?
Yeah, easy.
You're legitimate 6'10".
Easy.
Yeah. So growing. Boy, he smiled about that like that was. Are you still growing?
Hopefully.
You think you are a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've grew since I've been here.
There's something I've talked with Andre a while ago about this, about the different approach and mindset about basketball and how you go about it in Europe compared to here. You see a big difference?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it especially in high school.
Okay.
Less than in college. I think college basketball is more to the style of how it's in Europe, but the youth times, I would say, are way different from a player development standpoint. I think in Europe, player development is way more stressed during practice than, I mean, here you have AAU and stuff where you play like 7 games a week.
Non-stop games, yes.
Which is something I've never seen. It's like when I came here, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. Because in Europe, I mean, you have 1 game a week, maybe 2 in the youth categories, and the rest of the time you spend in practice excelling your ball handling, shooting, passing, learning defensive schemes and stuff like that.
Who did you kind of look up to growing up? What was it, a European guy like a Dirk Nowitzki or somebody like that? Or who did you look up to when you were growing up?
Well, growing up, I always try to look at some like tall wings or like players that just can do everything on the court, can post up, score from post ups, can take guys off the dribble, can play in pick and rolls, and just a very versatile player that can do anything on the floor. So that's kind of the players that I lean towards to learning from.
Okay. So who would be one that you really looked at? Doesn't necessarily have to be a European guy.
Now I would say probably Luka. I really like how the way he plays with pace.
Sure.
or Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant scores in the post, mid post, and can score on all three levels. So just players that can score on all three levels.
Well, you have been a lot of fun. There's not a game goes by where he doesn't do something where Scott and I snap our heads and like, wow, that was impressive for a 6'10" guy. Keep up the good work. Let's get a win on Sunday. What do you think?
Thank you. No, for sure, for sure.
Sebastian Rancik, he is going to be, as Dad said, a great buff here at the University of Colorado. We'll take a timeout. Boy, the women had a nice win. I was hanging on every word of Corey and Carol last night at the end of the ballgame. They pulled one out in Provo, Utah. We'll talk with the head coach of the women's team coming up next. This is Colorado basketball from Learfield. That turned out to be the game winner. That's what the Buffs did, was win 67-66. In Provo, Utah last night, improving to 14-6 overall, 5-4 in Big 12 conference play. First road conference win for JR Payne, the CU women last night. Yeah, that one, those of us, Kimberly stood out front and just said, Coach, thanks for starting my heart a few times last night. You had to make it exciting down the stretch,
We
didn't you?
did. We did start it and stopped for all of us a few times, I think. It was exciting, though, and lots of just game-winning plays down the stretch, which was cool.
You and I were just talking. Master Guy was in some foul trouble last night, so we heard Benson with the shot right there. You were talking about here's somebody that has been injured.
Yep.
They've been out. Second game back?
Second game back, yes.
Second game back, called upon to play some minutes, gets the big bucket there, and then defensively has a couple of wonderful plays down the stretch as well. That's huge for a young player like that.
It's so huge. Yeah, I told her walking off the floor, I'm just so proud of you. You know, that's hard to do, to be out, and she was in concussion protocol, so couldn't do anything. Like, couldn't touch a ball, wasn't allowed to pass, couldn't do anything, you know, for several weeks. And so to be able to just have a couple practices under your belt and come back, and she played well in the last game we played, you know, in sparing minutes because she's just been out. But clutch plays down the stretch, and I hope we can springboard that into more.
When you have a game like that, that's nip and tuck and it's back and forth, you were up by as many as, 10 or 11, I think at one point in time in the third quarter, but then it gets tight down the stretch. What does that say about a team when you pull that out in hostile territory like that?
I think it just shows what a resilient group, you know, they are. And we've talked a lot about, we've been up and lost a couple games. And so we've really talked a lot about, tried to be intentional about, so what is our response going to be in that moment? Like, we know teams will go on a run. That's basketball. We'll go on a run. They'll go on a run. How are we going to be intentional about staying together, staying connected, in those moments when they go on a run? And so, you know, we had a great meeting week before. And so in that timeout, you know, or towards the end of the game, they went on the run, and we said, this is what we're talking about right here. Yep. This is the moment, you know, where you need to touch each other. You need to talk through actions. You need to breathe confidence into each other. And we did that. So a lot of resilience and I think growth.
A little kudos for you and the staff. The last play they ran, you knew it was coming. By your scout, right?
Yeah, it was not my scout. It was Matt Howard's scout, our director of operations.
Yeah.
Our staff does a really, really good job with the scouting reports. He had shown that exact play in the film session that morning. Right. And so they were out of timeouts with a minute and a half to go.
So you didn't want to call timeout to help them.
Yeah, right. So there was 1.5 seconds left. They were out of timeouts. We had several. So we could have, but I didn't want to give them an opportunity. That's their fault for burning their timeouts.
Right.
But we knew exactly what it was, and we were able to get Tabitha's attention to say exactly what it was going to be, and she guarded it perfectly.
See, those are things going on the sidelines, right? Because, okay, we knew with this much time left what they will run.
Yep.
And you're thinking, okay, we could set – well, wait a second, we can't do that because they may change the play then.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. Yeah,
so
we didn't want to give them a chance to do something different.
Right. That's the chess match that's going on in your head.
Yeah. There's a dozen different things running through there at all times.
Right. As the head coach, and you've got a great staff, how much communication, how much in a situation like that is there intercommunication between all of you?
Oh, sure, yeah. Even at the end of the game in timeouts, you know, with a minute to go or 30 seconds to go or whatever, I was asking Matt, what are they going to run here? Yeah. You know, because we all watched the film, but it was his scout.
His scout, yeah.
And so he was telling them they love to curl, they love to, you know, and so it was really cool to see a young coach like Matt be able to, in the moment, telling them what it's going to be, and he did a great job.
Well, when you've got a young coach, what do you look for in a young coach when you hire somebody? What do you want?
Well, in a young coach, you know, worker is the main thing. You know, people that want to work, love to work, you know, love the X's and O's, love the relationship part of, you know, coaching, developing young people, all of those things. You know, Matt joined us as a director of operations, which he still is in that role. But then a year or so ago, they added where you could have 2 more coaches on the floor, and he's been excellent in that role.
Right. Naimir Dew had a big ball game for you guys last night.
Yeah, Naimir was awesome. I mean, season high, maybe not a career high, but close to it. When we were running all kinds of stuff for her, because she was the one player that really was, you know, able to score last night. And so post-ups, you know, downhill penetration, she was hitting threes, she was doing it all.
Tell us a little bit about her as a person.
Yeah, Naya is a really really passionate young lady. She's passionate about what she wants to do in the future. Basketball, she might play for a little while, but she really wants to help like impoverished, underprivileged children.
Interesting.
Wants to, you know, work for a nonprofit or be in a position that she can really support young people.
I don't know her. She and I've never spoken, but she was on the postgame with Corey and Carol last night.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she kind of took the whole interview over.
She's awesome. Yeah, great personality and a great sort of infectious personality.
Yeah. Frida Foreman hits her 300th career three-pointer last last night. She is that's the first CU basketball player, men's side, women's side, to hit 300 threes in a career.
Incredible.
That's something, isn't it?
It's incredible. Funny story about Frida. So when she arrived from Denmark to the United States, it was during COVID. And so she had to quarantine in the hotel down the street for 14 days. Nobody got to see her. Although she and I would go for like walks, you know, and we would go eat lunch in the park or whatever because we couldn't be in a closed room together. But anyways, the first day she got to come to practice. So the team is there. They're all there. They're just seeing her for the first time. And the team was busy doing something on the side. And so she and I walked out on the court, and she just started shooting threes, and she must have hit 50 in a row. And the team is all on the side doing their thing, and they kind of look, and then they start watching, and then their jaws start dropping, and it's like, oh, yeah, she's the real deal. So, and she's been that ever since she got here.
Is she? Will she go down as one of the best shooters you've ever coached?
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can't even think of anybody that would be close.
Right.
Yeah.
Does she have a green light?
Oh, yeah.
Would she? It's like, okay, would you come down if it's there? You go.
Absolutely, yeah. We call it, you know, she's in range once she walks into the parking lot. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times we'll say, you know, even in transition, like we want to get a great shot. Now, meaning, don't burp up a quick early shot. Now I always preface it. Well, I mean, you can do that, but the rest of us, you know, it kind of goes without saying. She's, you know, 45% career 3-point shooter, and
I mean, her numbers are spectacular. They're not good. They're spectacular.
They are. And
what is it about her that did she get perfect form? What is it about her makes her a great shooter?
Well, the first thing is she's the hardest worker, you know, we have. She's the first one in the gym every day. She's the last one to leave. You know, we monitor their loads like every coach is doing now, and she's every single day the highest, even when she doesn't necessarily do the full practice because she's a little bit older.
Explain for everyone what you mean by their loads.
Yeah, so they manage, you know, it's we're trying to make sure that their bodies are not doing too much, let's say, and so it manages, you know,
because they're being monitored.
They're being monitored with like heart rate monitors and things like that. So it's just basically how fast is she going, how hard is she going, how many explosive movements is she doing in a certain time period. Anyway, so it's the work ethic.
Sure.
It's the time put in. She really studies the game. And then she's a coach's kid. So her dad was the Denmark national team coach. Her mom played. Her brothers played. Her sister played. You know, since she was 2 years old, she's had a ball in her hands.
Yeah, she's been going down as one of the greats in Colorado basketball history.
Yeah.
All right, you got Texas Tech coming up on Sunday. It's a 2:00 game as well, just like the men are playing that day. Why are they doing that, putting us head-to-head like that?
I don't know. That's 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row we went head-to-head with the men and women.
Yeah.
All right, tell us about Texas Tech.
Really athletic, very defensive-minded, you know, and we've had an issue with turning the ball over, and so something that we really need to focus on the next 2 days. They'll press for 40 minutes, a couple different types of presses, and we've struggled with that, but we've also been working on it a lot the past couple weeks, so I think we'll be ready and be confident.
The turnovers were not a big issue last night.
No, last 2 games, knock on wood. Everybody knock on wood. Collectively, let's knock. But no, I think you know, it's something that we have to continue to focus on, though, because it can get away from you quickly.
And I tell you what, these fans here, you walked in and people were applauding for you. These fans have been turning out for your games.
I
You've
know.
had some
We've
nice
had such great
atmosphere.
crowds. Yeah, great crowds. And it means a lot to all of us. It means a lot to the players. They talk about it, you know, how great the crowd was and how they can feed off their energy and things like that.
It's coming along nicely, and that's a big one coming up. And you're home for 2 in a row, too, by the way.
Yes, Arizona Wednesday, Pac-12 rivalry.
Love it. Hey, congratulations. Great win last night. Good luck on Sunday.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, JR Payne and the women, they've got Texas Tech coming up on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Corey and Carol going to hit the air at 1:30. We'll be doing the same thing down in Fort Worth as the Buffs men will take on TCU on Sunday afternoon as well. How about a big round of applause for Carelli? He's always doing a great job hosting us. This has been Buffs Primetime, and this is Colorado basketball from Learfield.